If I had known that tiramisu is this easy and quick to make, I would have prepared me a big batch of it on any given Sunday. It all begins with a good cup of coffee, preferably espresso, so let's make some. You will moreover need vanilla extract, cocoa powder, a few fresh eggs, preferably sanitized, fine caster sugar, as well as ladyfingers, which we will not bother making ourselves. Last but not least, we will need some whipping cream and most importantly, mascarpone. I suggest you keep them refrigerated until needed. These ingredients being cold will help you get the best possible result for this tiramisu recipe, for which we line up our favorite bowl set and try to figure out which size to use for which task. We will need to separate egg yolks and whites, fluff them up and subsequently combine with all other ingredients. So let's use the smaller bowls for separating the eggs and add half of the sugar, around 50 grams, into each bowl. Place the mascarpone into the big bowl and fold it with your plastic spatula till it softens a bit. Next up, we grab our clean whisk attachments and begin beating the egg whites. Reduce the speed when soft peaks start to form and definitely stop when firm peaks form at the latest. Soft, slightly firm peaks are perfect for our tiramisu. We don't want to risk overbeating them egg whites and ending up with eggy foam water. Set aside, rinse off the whisk attachment with water and beat the yolks next till they turn slightly pale. Pale, pretty much like my skin used to be during good old grey winter days in Europe. Combine the beaten yolks well with the mascarpone before you add the egg whites, which you gently and patiently fold in, and you end up with a creamy, rich and fluffy mixture that is associated with a classical tiramisu. Mascarpone is very expensive where I live though, and this is not enough to fill my dish, so we gotta stretch this precious mixture with some whipped cream. I found that a mascarpone to whipped cream ratio of around 2 to 1 increases the volume plentifully without compromising the mixture's taste too much. So pour almost a cup of cold whipping cream into a bowl and beat it stiff. It's gonna be perfectly stiff, otherwise it will have a negative effect on the texture of your tiramisu. So beat it well, but again, be careful not to overbeat it. Now we gotta act swiftly and shortly fold in the whipped cream in 2 batches. Don't overdo it, a few lumps definitely will remain. If you fold for too long or worse decide to whip it, your mixture will most probably turn runny. And if it's very warm in your kitchen, this will happen rather quickly. So move on to the next step immediately. Grab your flat container of choice in which you pour the now cooled espresso and add a tablespoon of vanilla extract, or better, 1 to 2 tablespoons of Marsala wine if you can get your hands on it. Some recipes use rum or even whiskey instead. Shortly stir, line up your dish of choice that's at least 3 inches or 7 centimeters deep, as well as an army of ladyfingers which you shortly dip into the liquid. I am talking less than a second from each side here, for they will absorb the coffee mixture super fast and will end up very mushy if you leave them in there for too long. Line up and fully cover the bottom of your dish with these flavor-infused ladyfingers and break them apart where necessary to fill the corners. Next, we will bury the ladyfingers in approximately half of our delicious cream. Spread it well with your spatula or spoon and follow up with the second layer of dipped ladyfingers and mascarpone cream mixture. Really try to shoot for plus-minus 50% here, especially if you want your tiramisu to look pretty with 2 equal layers when served later on. If the walls of your glass dish are not perpendicular, the top layers area will be slightly bigger. In that case, I suggest you don't start placing the first ladyfinger from the edge of your vessel, but rather try to put the ladyfingers on the same location as in the bottom layer in order to end up with a nice cross section when serving. Fully cover them with the creamy mixture and leave out the gap at the edges if there is one. There is no need to fill up the whole dish with cream. Great, now wrap it up and immediately transfer into the fridge to chill for at least 4, better 6 to 8 hours. I suggest you don't dust your tiramisu with the mandatory cocoa powder before chilling, but rather right after putting a generous piece for your loved ones and yourself on the plate. Otherwise, the powder will be all wet and not look very appetizing. One last note before you dive into this dessert from heaven and impatiently put it into your mouth: make sure to breathe through your nose when taking a big bite, or the cocoa powder might end up in your trachea, aka windpipe.